The Galactic Empire's capital shipyard was alive with light and movement. Miles-long battleships floated in the dark, their armor gleaming in the starlight. Inside the towering command hall, the High Command stood before a massive display screen. Red warning symbols pulsed across the map. "Report," the Emperor's voice echoed, low and sharp. A sensor officer stepped forward, hands shaking slightly. "Your Majesty?" "Unidentified fleet detected in the neutral zone. Transponder signals confirm they're human." The chamber filled with a ripple of disbelief. "Humans?" one admiral laughed. "Impossible. They have no fleet large enough to even cross into the neutral zone." "They are a minor species," another agreed. "A controlled race. Their territory barely covers 6 systems. They should not be here." The Emperor's golden eyes narrowed. "And yet they are here. Why?" No one answered. The screen updated. A cluster of white dots marked the human fleet, small in number, sitting motionless on the edge of Imperial space. They did not move. They did not answer hails. They simply waited. The Emperor's lips tightened. "Prepare the battle fleet. I will not tolerate this insult." Orders were shouted. Across the Empire, engines roared to life. Destroyers, cruisers, and dreadnoughts left their docks, heading toward the neutral zone in formation. The Emperor would personally lead them aboard. His flagship, the solar crown dot. As the Imperial fleet moved, the mood was almost casual. Officers laughed, betting how long it would take before the humans surrendered. "They'll see our guns and run," one commander smirked. "If they're lucky, we'll let them go home in one piece." But then, the sensor alarms began to change. A technician frowned at her console. "My lord, detecting multiple heat. Sources near the human fleet." "How many?" the Emperor asked without turning his head. The officer hesitated. "Too many. And they are large, much larger than the ships we can see." The room went quiet. "What do you mean larger?" Admiral Vess demanded. The technician said, her voice shaking now. "Their heat signatures are bigger than any ship in our database. Our scanners cannot identify them. It's like they are hidden." The Emperor finally turned. His voice was calm, but cold. "Hidden? How?" I don't know. It's as if the ships are wrapped in something that absorbs our scans. But the heat is there. Whatever they are, they're active. And they're huge." The laughter from earlier faded into uneasy silence. The solar crown continued toward the meeting point. As the distance closed, the human ships appeared on the main display. Only a dozen visible, black and sharp-edged, their surfaces swallowing light. No banners. No insignia. "Such a small force," muttered General Corps, though his voice lacked the earlier confidence. The Emperor studied the ships. Something about them felt deliberate. The humans were not moving. They were waiting, watching. "Open a channel," the Emperor ordered. Static hissed back. No response. "They refuse communication?" The Emperor asked softly. "Yes, my lord." The comms officer confirmed. "Then perhaps they need a reminder of where they stand." The Emperor's gaze hardened. "Bring us within 5,000 clicks. Target their lead ship with all forward. Batteries." Before the weapons could lock, the comm system came alive. A single voice, clear, steady, and unmistakably human, filled the command hall. "Galactic Empire," the voice said. "We will meet you where the stars burn blue." The message ended. No further transmission followed. Confusion rippled through the officers. "What does that mean?" asked Admiral Vess. "Some kind of code?" suggested another. The Emperor stared at the display, the faintest crease in his brow. He knew the Blue Star region, an unstable system on the edge of explored space, bathed in the light of a massive blue giant. No Imperial ship traveled there without reason. "They are challenging us," the Emperor said finally. And we will answer. He stood, his voice carrying across the hall. Send word to all ships. Change course to the Blue Star system. We will meet the humans on their chosen ground. And when we do, they will learn why the Empire rules the galaxy. The fleet's engines blazed brighter, arcs of light stretching into the void as hundreds of warships shifted course. The humans did not follow. They did not run. They simply turned and moved ahead, as if leading the Empire into the unknown. Far from the command hall, in the black corridors of the human flagship, a different kind of meeting was taking place. Officers stood in silence, watching the Imperial fleet on their own displays. The human commander's lips curved into a faint smile. They took the bait, he said quietly. Let's show them what waits in the dark. The Blue Star awaited, and with it, something the Empire had never seen before. The Blue Star burned like a giant sapphire in the darkness of space. Its light was cold, sharp, and strange, casting deep shadows across the Imperial fleet as they dropped out of hyperspace. Solar Crown arrived first, followed by wave after wave of Imperial warships, cruisers, destroyers, carriers, and the massive dreadnoughts that symbolized the Empire's power. Status report. The Emperor said, "All ships present, my lord," Admiral Vess replied. "We detect the human fleet ahead near the inner ring of the system." On the main display, the human ships appeared as dark shapes against the glow of the Blue Star. They were arranged in a perfect formation, a silent wall of black steel. There were still only a dozen visible ships. No reinforcements, no hidden allies. Some of the younger Imperial officers smirked again. "They dragged us all the way here for this?" One whispered. The Emperor ignored the comment. His eyes narrowed. Magnify. The image zoomed in. The human ships were unlike anything in the Empire's database. Their hulls seemed to absorb light instead of reflecting it, making them look like holes in space. No weapons were visible, no shield patterns detected, but something about them felt wrong. "Are we detecting any energy buildup?" the Emperor asked. "Minimal, my lord," the sensor officer replied. "No weapons lock, no shield activation." The Emperor's voice was quiet. "And yet they wait for us." The Imperial fleet advanced. Engines glowed, weapon systems warmed, and thousands of gunners prepared for the order to fire. But still, the humans did not move. Then, without warning, the human flagship broke formation. It drifted forward, gliding with slow, deliberate grace. "Target them," Admiral Vess ordered. "Wait," the Emperor said. The human ship came to a stop, positioned exactly between the Imperial fleet and the Blue Star. Against the stars, fierce light. It looked like a shadow swallowing the sun. A transmission came through, visual this time. On the screen, a human commander appeared. He was calm, dressed in a simple black uniform with no rank markings. His expression was not hostile, not even tense. He looked almost amused. "Galactic Empire," the human said. "You have traveled far. That was wise. But what comes next will test you." The Emperor leaned forward slightly. "You will explain your presence in the neutral zone." The human smiled faintly. "Neutral to you, perhaps, not to us. Your fleet is outnumbered and surrounded," Admiral Vess cut in. "If you do not surrender, we will." The human interrupted without raising his voice. "Will you?" "Look again, Admiral." The Emperor's eyes flicked to the sensor officer. "My lord," the officer began slowly, "our long-range scans are failing. The background heat in the system is increasing." "Explain." "I can't. It's as if something massive is blocking the star's radiation. But nothing's on visual." She stopped mid-sentence as the main display began to change. At the very edge of the star's light, shadows began to move. Shapes emerged from the darkness. shapes so large they seemed to distort space around them. One by one, they slid into view. They were ships, enormous, silent, and black as the void. Each one was at least 5 times the size of the Empire's largest dreadnought. Their hulls bore no lights, no windows, no markings, only vast panels of strange material that seemed to drink in the blue light. The human commander's voice returned. "We came to talk, Emperor, but we needed you to see the truth first." All across the Imperial fleet, the confident smirks were gone. Even the battle-hardened admirals sat in stunned silence. How many of these do you have?" Admiral Vess whispered. The human smiled again. "Enough." The Emperor did not answer. Immediately, his gaze moved from the dark giants to the human commander on the screen. The calmness, the confidence, it was not the arrogance of a weak opponent bluffing for time. It was something else. It was certainty. The human continued. "You came here to remind us of the Empire's strength. Now we will remind you of ours. Follow us or turn back. The choice will decide the future of your people." The transmission cut. The Solar Crown's bridge was silent, except for the soft hum of the engines. Outside, the human fleet began to turn, heading deeper into the system, toward a region of dark space where the blue star's light could not reach. The Emperor finally spoke. "Follow them." The order carried across the Imperial Armada. And somewhere, far beyond the light, the humans' true power waited in the shadows. The blue star's light faded behind them as the Imperial fleet followed the humans into the dark zone. At first, the darkness was only partial. A dim glow still touched the ships. But with every passing minute, that glow weakened, swallowed by a strange black haze drifting through space. On the Imperial flagship Solar Crown, the bridge crew worked in tense silence. "Adjust scanners," Admiral Vess ordered. "They're already at maximum," the sensor officer replied. "But this isn't normal interference. It's like the light itself is being eaten." The Emperor stood at the center of the command deck, hands clasped behind his back. His eyes never left the main display, where the human fleet was still. Visible ahead, 12 small silhouettes gliding through the haze. "Range to human lead ship?" he asked. 2,000 kilometers and holding, my lord. They're keeping their speed low, as if waiting for us." The haze thickened. Soon, the blue star was gone entirely, replaced by an endless wall of black. The only light came from the Imperial ship's own running lamps, and even those looked dim, as if struggling to shine. Then the first system began to fail. "Long-range comms are down," a communications officer reported. "Short range still stable. Shields fluctuating." Another voice called. "Gravity sensors picking up?" "Distortions," added the navigator, her voice uncertain. "They're faint, but something big is nearby." The Emperor finally spoke. "Nearby? Where?" The navigator hesitated. "Everywhere, my lord." The human fleet slowed. "There?" Formation tightened, drawing the Imperial ships closer. For the first time, the Emperor noticed faint lights ahead. A thin line of red glows in the distance, like the eyes of some colossal predator. "What is that?" Admiral Vess asked. Before anyone could answer, the haze shifted. A massive shadow began to emerge from the darkness. It was close, far closer than the sensors had warned. Gasps spread across the bridge. It was a ship. No, a fortress. A black structure so enormous that its shape couldn't be seen all at once. The closest part alone dwarfed the Solar Crown. The hull was jagged and ancient-looking, with layers of armor stacked like cliffs. There were no windows, no markings, no obvious engines, just a vast, silent presence. And it wasn't alone. As the haze moved, more shadows came into view. 1, 2, 5, 10. each the size of a small moon, each drifting slowly, silently, and each positioned perfectly to surround the Imperial fleet. The humans had led them straight into the center of something far bigger than an ambush. On the main display, the human commander reappeared. His face was lit faintly by his own ship's controls. "You've never been here before, Emperor," he said calmly. "This is where we live now, far from your empire, far from your laws." The Emperor's voice was steady. "You built this." "We found it," the human corrected, "and we made it ours." Admiral Vess stepped forward. "If you think we're intimidated," the human interrupted, not with words, but with a gesture. He raised his hand slightly, and from the fortress ships came a deep, resonant hum. Every Imperial display flickered. Targeting systems failed. Weapons went offline. The fleet's shields collapsed. Gasps and shouts filled the bridge. "What have they done?" An officer cried. They shut us down," the chief engineer said in disbelief, "like flipping a switch." The human commander spoke again. "This is not war, Admiral. If it were, you'd already be debris." The Emperor said nothing. His gaze shifted from the human's calm face to the fortress ships outside. Slowly he understood. The humans were not bluffing. The hum faded, and the Imperial systems came back online. Weapons locked, shields reformed. But no one on the Solar. Crown felt reassured. The human commander leaned closer to the camera. "There is something you need to see next. Follow us, and you will understand. Or turn back, and you will never know how small your empire truly is." The transmission ended. The human fleet began moving again, deeper into the shadowy region. For a long moment, no one spoke. Finally, the Emperor said, "Stay with them." The Imperial fleet obeyed, engines burning faintly in the consuming dark. Somewhere ahead, beyond sight, waited the truth the humans wanted to show them. The darkness thinned, faint. Light returned, but it wasn't from any sun. It came from strange beacons hanging in space. Tall black towers covered in crimson markings, their glow pulsing like slow heartbeats. The human fleet moved between them in perfect formation, and the Imperial ships followed, though many crew. Members whispered that this felt like entering a cage. Admiral Vess leaned toward the Emperor. "My lord, these are clearly defensive structures. I recommend we turn back before." The Emperor raised one hand, silencing her. "We are here to see their truth. We do not turn back." As the last beacon slipped behind them, the fleet emerged into a vast open space inside the nebula dot and froze. All around them, in every direction, hung human warships. Hundreds, thousands. Their designs varied, some sleek and dagger-shaped, others bulky and armored like ancient fortresses, but all shared the same dark matter plating that swallowed light. Every Imperial scanner returned the same impossible reading. Nothing detected. The Imperial fleet had been surrounded, but no one moved, no weapon fired. Yet the air aboard the Solar Crown felt heavy, as if the entire crew had stopped breathing. The Emperor looked out through the flagship's vast viewing windows. Beyond the glass, dozens of human ships were close enough that their hulls filled the view. They were silent, running no lights, their shapes barely visible. Only the faint edges caught the red glow from the beacons. A call came through from the human flagship. The Emperor gave a nod, and the comms officer opened the channel. The same. Human commander appeared, his expression calm, almost bored. "You've come far enough," he said. The Emperor's tone was even. "And now you show me your numbers." "This is not all of them," the human replied simply. Admiral Vess stepped forward. "Then why bring us here? To boast? To intimidate?" The human shook his head. "To remind you that your empire's power exists only where we allow it." The words sank into the bridge like cold steel. One of the human ships moved forward. drifting slowly until its size could be measured against the Imperial flagship. It was 3 times larger. Then another ship emerged from the shadows behind it, even bigger, and another, and another. The Admiral's voice lowered to a whisper. "How long have they been building this?" The Emperor's gaze never left the screen. "Longer than we imagined." The human commander leaned forward, his face lit faintly by his own console. "We could have met you in battle. We could have ended your fleet the moment you crossed into our space. But we didn't. Do you know why?" The Emperor said nothing. The human's mouth curved into the faintest smile. "Because war is not our goal. Not yet." The words hung in the air, heavier than any threat. Without warning, the nebula began to stir. A slow, massive shape moved in the far distance, like a shadow turning beneath deep water. The human ships held position, as if awaiting their leader. Then it emerged, a ship so vast that the human fleet itself seemed small beside it. Its hull stretched for kilometers, studded with colossal towers and arrays, its black surface broken only by faint blue lines that pulsed like veins of light. It moved with impossible grace, each motion silent, inevitable. The bridge crew of the Solar Crown stood frozen. Even the Emperor's eyes widened slightly. "That," the human commander said softly, "is why we smile." No one in the Imperial fleet spoke. No one dared. The humans had not fired a single shot, yet they had made their point clearer than any battle could. Finally, the human added, "There is more for you to see, but first you must decide if you wish to see it." The channel closed. The massive ship drifted past the Imperial fleet like a silent world. The Emperor turned to Admiral. "Vess, we follow." And the Imperial fleet, outnumbered and outmatched, obeyed. The Imperial fleet moved in silence, trailing behind the human armada as it glided through the glowing veins of the nebula. Hours passed. No messages were exchanged. The humans did not explain their course, and the Imperials did not dare to ask. Inside the Solar Crown, tension wrapped itself around the crew like cold chains. Officers moved quietly between stations. No one raised their voice. Every time a human ship passed close to the viewing glass, crew members found themselves staring, as if searching for a weakness, but finding none. At last, the vast human fortress ship slowed. It turned, revealing an enormous circular opening along its side. The edges of the opening glowed faintly blue, like the mouth of some ancient creature. The Imperial fleet halted as the human commander's voice returned over comms. "You wanted to know what lies beyond the smile," he said. "Now you will see." The opening swallowed the human ships, one by one. As the Solar Crown followed, its scanners went dark. Every reading flatlined, not interference, but total absence of any detectable matter or energy. Then the Solar Crown emerged into light that it was not the inside of a ship. It was a system. A star burned at the center, smaller and colder than most, but surrounded by a glittering ring of structures. Not planets, artificial worlds. Giant rotating habitats, asteroid cities, mobile shipyards, more than the Emperor had ever seen in one place. Ships of every size moved between them in perfect coordination. The scale was impossible. The system's population could have been in the trillions. The human commander appeared on the main screen again, but this time the image was not from the bridge of his ship. He stood on a wide balcony overlooking the artificial star. Behind him, human workers moved in ordered lines, building yet more ships. "This is why we smile," he began. "When your empire pushed us to the edge of extinction 2 centuries ago, we didn't die. We left. We hid. We learned." He turned slowly, gesturing to the massive fleets below. "While you fought over borders and titles, we built beyond your reach. We learned to harvest dark matter, to shape it into armor that no weapon can pierce. We learned to live without your trade, your politics, your permission. You ruled the galaxy. Only because we allowed you to. The Emperor's voice was calm, but a flicker of unease crossed his eyes. And now, why return? The human smiled faintly. Because you've grown too comfortable, too sure of your place. You've forgotten what it feels like to stand in the presence of something you cannot control. The commander's eyes narrowed. We are not here for war, not yet. But make no mistake, we will not be your vassals, your servants, or your pawns. We are your equals, or we are your end. The bridge crew of the Solar Crown remained frozen. Admiral Vess's fists tightened behind her back, but she said nothing. The human continued. You've seen a fraction of our fleet. You've seen a single fortress. We have 10 more. And beyond them, there are things we have built that even you cannot imagine. He leaned closer to the screen, his tone quiet now. If we wanted war, Emperor, it would already be over. The channel closed. The Emperor stood in silence, looking out at the artificial worlds, the endless fleets, the dark matter ships that moved like shadows between the stars. For the first time in his reign, he did not feel like a ruler. He felt like a guest. The Emperor's gaze swept over the human system one last time. A cold understanding settled in his mind. The galaxy's balance had shifted, and there was no turning it back. On the bridge of the Solar Crown, no one spoke. The human fleets moved like living shadows between the glowing habitats, their black hulls drinking in the starlight. Every ship radiated silent confidence. No shields were active, no weapons aimed, yet the Imperials felt trapped inside the jaws of an unseen beast. A new signal arrived. The human commander's face returned to the screen, calm as ever. You will take this message back to your Emperor's court, he said. You will tell them that humanity has returned, not as rebels, not as subjects, as something else. The Emperor's voice was steady, but each word was weighed. And if the Empire refuses? The human's faint smile returned, the same one that had haunted the Imperial officers since the first transmission. Then the next time we meet, you will not see our fleets from the outside. You will see them above your worlds. Silence. Again. Finally, the Emperor gave a single nod. You will have your message. The human commander stepped back. Good. Then you will leave our space for now. The channel closed. Without a single escort, the Imperial fleet was allowed to turn away. But as the Solar Crown passed the great circular gate that had brought them in, the Emperor noticed something unsettling. The human fleets did not watch them leave. They didn't even seem to care. Their attention was already elsewhere. Hours later, as the Imperial fleet crossed back into the neutral zone, Admiral Vess approached the Emperor. My lord, they could have destroyed us at any moment. Why didn't they? The Emperor stared out at the empty stars ahead. Because they didn't need to. He turned toward her, his expression grim. We've been thinking like conquerors, Vess. They've been thinking like architects. And the galaxy is their blueprint now. Far behind them, deep within the human system, the commander stood on his balcony once more, watching the Imperial ships vanish into the distance. A young officer approached. They'll warn the Empire. They'll prepare for war. The commander didn't look away from the stars. Yes, and they'll prepare for the wrong kind of war. The officer frowned. Sir? The commander's smile deepened. While they aim their fleets, we aim at their foundations. The day will come when the Empire won't fall from battle. It will collapse from within. The camera of the mind pulls back, showing the colossal human fortress ship drifting in the darkness, surrounded by fleets like a swarm of silent predators dot in the distance. A massive structure begins to unfold, a ring larger than any world, glowing with the cold blue fire of dark matter engines. The humans had no intention of waiting for war. that they were already building the next age.